Hello guys, good day. Welcome to the new topic that we have for our subject. Chapter 3, Curriculum Design is the title. Now, we have to define first the meaning of curriculum design and establish the four elements. Curriculum design, guys, is defined as the arrangement of the curriculum elements. Okay? Now, we could not possibly arrange the curriculum contents if we do not exactly know the elements of curriculum design. So these are the following curriculum design elements. We have the intent, the subject matter, or the content, learning experiences, and evaluation. We only have four. Okay? So intent, if you happen to notice it, guys, the elements of curriculum design are somehow very similar to that of lesson plans. Okay? We have the intent, otherwise known as the aims, goals, and objectives. The subject matter or specific topic or contents, there has to be like that. Otherwise, the curriculum design is not complete because one of the elements is not present. Next one is learning experiences. What do we mean by learning experiences, by the way? Learning experiences, this is equivalent to teaching learning process or the Roman numeral number 4 in our lesson plan, procedures. Wherein the different methodology, teaching strategies are being employed at, right? So, assuming that we have already the intent, the subject matter, or the topic, then have already administered the appropriate learning experiences or teaching learning process, the next step to follow is that there has to be a kind of tool that would quantify the extent of learning, the quality and quantity of learning that the students have possibly acquired or learned. So what do we call that term? Definitely it is evaluation or assessment. So these four elements have to be right there in the curriculum design so we could have the good curriculum design, because these are the complete elements of that. Okay? Now, there are two levels of curriculum contents organization, namely the macro level and the micro level. What are these? First, macro level, guys, it highlights that the curriculum from philosophy to the contents of different subjects. That's how it is being sequenced or organized rather. Okay? As I said, arrange the curriculum from philosophy to the contents of different subjects. When we talk about philosophies, guys, it talks about principles, ideas, respective stances on a particular curriculum. I mean, what the curriculum wants to, what kind of students that the curriculum or curricula is or are intended to produce. Okay? So whatever those philosophies are, it will be aligned with the different subjects. Okay? So that is on the macro level. Now, let's talk about the micro level. It emphasizes that organizing the specific contents of every subject or discipline. If you happen to observe from the general ideas, philosophies, stances, it is now being mainstream right down to the different specific subjects or disciplines. Okay? Now, what is the difference between subject and discipline? Say subject, guys, it refers to English, science, math, and Filipino. Okay? And discipline, it refers to the following disciplines such as the algebra, physics, chemistry, literature, economics, history, and so on and so forth. Now, these matters right here, guys, are under the so-called different curriculum designs. We only have two. the subject-centered design or curriculum design, and the other one is the learner-centered designs. These two curriculum designs, it has the following subdivisions. We talk about first the learner-centered design and its sub-designs or subdivisions. Again, learner-centered design, from the root word itself, the design is focused on the learners themselves. How do we make and create such kind of design? Then we are guided with the following sub-designs of this particular learner-centered designs. Letter A, we have the activity or experience designs. This concentrates on activities that developed higher order thinking skills and creativity. It means that the students' thoughts, minds are ignited to come up with out of the box ideas, something that um something that the students are deeply encouraged to think of innovative, creative ideas so they could become assets on the society in terms of its a lot of aspects like the social problems, the cultural awareness, the economic progress, something like they would live as progressive citizens who would contribute to nation building, right? Now, the second one is humanistic design. Humanistic design, this intends to develop holistic learning. I guess you are not strangers with the term holistic learning. The word, just for refreshing the previous knowledge or the stock knowledge that you have, holistic learning, it underscores that the students are educated by mind, by heart, and by hands. Meaning, they've got the knowledge, the wisdom, the insights, they've got the right attitude, and they have the appropriate competencies of whatever fields that they have chosen to master. Okay? That's what we call as holistically developed learners, students, or graduates. They are expected once again to become potent factors in nation building, guys. Okay? Now, let us see. Problem-centered design. This engages the students to social and environmental problems. Now, this is quite so timely. If you happen to observe, guys, there are several social issues, environmental concerns that have to be participated by the youths nowadays, by all people from all walks of life, because our race survival or human race survival, of course, largely depends on everybody. We have to be cooperative, we have to be one, we have to be of singular mind to participate, to collaborate, and pour out our best to create a better society, a better country, a better planet, guys. Okay? So, it's one of the reasons why problem-centered design is one of the sub-designs under the learner-centered designs. The last part is core learning design. What does it emphasize, guys? This focuses on skills, knowledge that students need to master. Again, this focuses on skills and knowledge that the students need to master. The statement is quite vague and generic. However, it guides us that when we use the core learning design, the skills and knowledge development are given the focus on such educational lenses. Okay? Now, if we happen, when we select and choose whatever that kind of sub-design of this learner-centered design, definitely, for your information, we are allowable to select more than one. We are not prohibited to even utilize all of these four every now and then, because as we can clearly see in plain view, guys, that all of these things, all of these sub-designs under learner-centered designs are beneficial, powerful, and so helpful, no, for the students' holistic development, for the students to become functionally literate individuals, not just holistically developed, but more so functionally literate. The one that we call as functional literacy, guys. What does it mean? Functional literacy means that the students, that the graduates, are not somehow self-centered. Whatever the skills, the knowledge, the kind of attitude that they have acquired throughout the years, they are willing to have it shared before the community, the society, and the country, or even um, the people across 7 continents. Anyways, we belong in the same ship. We have to be helping one another so we can create a good future, not just for ourselves, but also for the future generation. Let's talk about things to consider in designing a curriculum. We've got only two techniques or approaches. First one is horizontal organization. The second one is vertical organization. Now, so we will not be confused as to what is the structure of horizontal organization and vertical organization. Then think of it like this, guys, that when we talk about horizontal organization, the word horizontal, it starts with letter H. Therefore, it could be translated into Cebuano dialect as higda, letter H, higda. Therefore, higda organization. Gahigda ang linya. In terms of vertical organization, V, vertical, meaning V, barog, no? Barog, BB, barog siya. Okay? So, horizontal organization, guys, it focuses on establishing relationship and integration among subject areas in elementary or secondary curriculum. What does it mean? Since the line is flat, okay, higda, expectedly, multidisciplinary integration of subjects and disciplines are expected to occur. Okay? That is why when we talk about, for instance, in elementary or secondary about mathematical equations, it would not be solely applicable only to mathematics alone, because it could be used in science, it could even be used in social studies or araling panlipunan, because those subjects also involve mathematical calculations in some other topics, not all subject contents, but there are certain topics that involve mathematical equations. And even every now and then, we could possibly integrate the values formation so our students do not just learn the good insights, okay? Not just the psychomotor related competencies, but more so their attitude is also nourished, nurtured, and possibly may bloom when the time comes. And this shall be, of course, become assets in our country and to all the people on earth, guys, no? Because that's how our worldviews must, must be. Okay, we must think of our planet as I mean, the obligation of taking care of our planet, the obligation of creating a safe environment, a balanced ecology, lesser occurrence of crimes, maintenance of peace and order, safety, guys. It's the business of everybody. Okay, Now, vertical organization, this focuses on the spiral progression and distribution of curriculum contents by examining prerequisite knowledge and skills in different learning areas. As I said, vertical organization, the structure is, it stands, it erects, because vertical barog, okay, barog. Now, are you aware that the K-12 curriculum, it is featuring the so-called spiral progression? The structure is vertical. It means that from simple topics, simple subject matters, as it or as the level increases, the complexity of competencies set under a certain curriculum, guys, or curricula, it becomes more complex and complex and complex as the level once again increases. Like in grade 1, in kindergarten to grade 3, they have adopted the so-called mother tongue based multilingual education, MTB MLE. So one of the purposes of that is to facilitate easy comprehension on the delivery of foundations of learning towards the students, because expectedly using the Cebuano dialect or whatsoever is the mother tongue that certain students have in their respective geographic locations, they could possibly understand easily those. Okay, so that is one of the features. Now, when we talk about the prerequisite knowledge and skills in different learning areas, meaning the students have to acquire this set of competencies first, because these are considered as prerequisite, so they could proceed to the next level and next level and next level, right? For instance, if we talk about mathematics, guys, the students have to be acquainted first with the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, so that by the time when they will be reaching grades 5, 6, and onwards, definitely they are ready to embrace the more difficult topics in mathematics. So in terms of skills, that is what we call as prerequisite. Students somehow, they could, it's not good to jump from certain competencies without acquiring or possessing first the expected prerequisite knowledge, skills, or competencies. And that is what we call as vertical organization. As I said, spiral progression, guys, from simple to complex. From the very bottom of this particular curriculum, for instance, K-12, what are being laid upon are simple matter, simple subjects, simple contents, until each level is taken by the student. Expectedly also, the contents, the subject matters are becoming more difficult and difficult. Now, these are the different ways of sequencing curriculum. We have 5 actually. The simple to complex, prerequisite learning, chronology, whole to part learning, increasing abstraction. Again, what do we call these 5 curriculum contents, guys? It is called as sequencing curriculum contents. It's kind of different with the topic that we just have had about the arranging the curriculum, because in sequencing the curriculum, this is more specific. Okay? Now, simple to complex, it highlights that topics are arranged to progressive spiral sequence. The one that we call a spiral progression, the one that I just mentioned seconds ago, that was an example of simple to complex, which once again is featured under the K-12 curriculum. Second, prerequisite learning. What is that? Arranged through prerequisite knowledge and skills. The vertical organization, this one. Okay, the vertical organization of curriculum contents is called as the prerequisite learning. Somehow, simple to complex and prerequisite learning are being interchangeably used, no, in sequencing or arranging curriculum contents. Now, chronology, from the word itself, chronology, it means that sequencing in exact order the respective events that had happened in the past. For instance, if the subject is history, we could not possibly just automatically jump from this particular topic to the other topics without dissecting, without knowing, without analyzing first the significant events that happen in between the timelines that we have established. And that is what we call as chronology. Letter D, whole to part learning, guys. It's what we call as deductive. The curriculum contents are arranged in deductive approach. From the root word deductive, meaning gikuhaan, gikuhaan, gikuhaan. Unsa may gikuhaan? From general ideas, general philosophies, general stances, general statements. Those are being broken down into pieces and minced to the most specific details. Okay? What do we call that? It's whole to part learning, inductive approach. Last way of sequencing curriculum contents, guys, it's what we call as increasing abstraction. Sequence based on the concept or skill easily relatable and relevant to the student's personal experiences. So the highlight of this increasing abstraction, let me underline this for you guys, that this talks about the concept easily relatable to the student's personal experiences. This one, right? Easily relatable and relevant to the student's personal experiences. You know what? To attain such kind of approach or way, technique in sequencing curriculum contents, under increasing abstraction, we have to apply the so-called contextualization and localization. Okay? Let us talk first the contextualization. How do we do that? How do we administer, how do we implement this contextualization as an approach of sequencing curriculum contents? Well, this emphasizes that developing new skills, knowledge, abilities, and attitudes in students in presenting new subject matter in meaningful and relevant contexts. Context of previous experience, real life, or workplace. It means that if we talk about, for instance, the concept of peace and order, and we have given the example of World War I and World War II, if we happen to contextualize such concept, the war, the maintenance of peace and order against war, guys, we could possibly talk about inside the classroom occurrences, like Mr. A, student A, you want to ask him that if student B teases you, mocks you, and tells you that you are ugly, what would be your response? Try to contemplate student A of the discussions that we have just finished, the concept of war and the maintenance of peace and order, something like that. Now, if student A's answer would somehow be going against the concept of maintenance and peace and order, the concept of there is no winner in war because devastations of lives, properties are inevitable to happen once war occurs, then we put it into the classroom level context, that if student A accepts the challenge or somehow throws a blow to student B, then it only means, in terms of application of knowledge, of the concept that World War One and Two that the students are expected to learn, then we could somehow measure that student A perhaps does not get the idea right, because when he was challenged by student B, student A just just gave in and wanted to really make a revenge against student B. So it's kind of important because through that, we happen to let the students apply into the real life experience the concept, the theme, the insight that we have delivered to a particular group of students under this particular expected competencies or learning competencies. And that is contextualization. Let's talk localization. Localization, once again, the freedom for schools or local authorities to adapt the curriculum to local conditions and relating the context of the curriculum and the process of teaching and learning to the local environment. Actually, guys, this gives more emphasis on whatever the materials which are easily available, readily seen, recovered nearby of the school's premises, guys, as much as possible, the teachers must use those matters because students can easily connect with at first their interest can easily be aroused because, for instance, if you have the visual aids and you would deliver something like the additions or the basic mathematical equations, guys, and you are teaching in an island, then you could possibly make good use of the shells that you can see right there on the seashore. Whatever the environment has to offer, and we could be innovative and utilize those things to come up with a good instructional material to have also presented to the students that these matters are easily relatable and can cause arousal of interest among students. And through that, localization is expected to happen because as they say, once the students have have um, have seen that these materials are somehow familiar with them, then they eventually establish good connections. Aside from the arousal of interest, somehow the retention of learning is easier, is most likely to happen because they are so quite familiar with the materials that the teacher uses in delivering the teaching learning process. Okay? So guys, I do hope that you have learned something on this video. If you've got questions, you are allowable to drop whatever the questions that bother you possibly right now. Just drop it right here in our chat box, or you may also have it sent rather to our group chat. Okay, see you next meeting, guys, for the next video. Thank you so much for listening. Let me end our discussion today with this great thought. Curriculum design, an anatomy that lays down the structure of educational contents and process. Meaning, curriculum design, not just, it is an anatomy that lays down the structure and gives the teachers, the students, and other curriculum implementers the great idea of how they would be collaborating in achieving the common goals for the students' welfare and betterment. So goodbye, guys. That's all for today.